Hello, Walking the Ropes fans. I am Blake, and welcome to the next episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Dynamite from Orlando, Florida. In today's show, we have a round 2 match is set, a tournament is kicked off, mistakes are made, and a grudge is settled. But before that, make sure to check out the Walking the Ropes link tree for all things Walking the Ropes. And to open the show, we had the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament match between Bryan Danielson and Dustin Rhodes. This is a really cool match. It spans across generations, as Dustin himself has had a 30-year career. Danielson has had, I want to say, at least a 15-year career spanning through the indies and everything. And both men show that they want that AEW World Championship. Dustin is looking to become a world champion for the first time in his 30-year career. And Danielson, on the other hand, is looking to claw his way back to Kenny and this time take his title and claim his spot atop AEW. Dustin may be older than Danielson, but you can't tell that by how he moves. Dustin sticks with Danielson, and but Bryan is that next level competitor. He always has a plan for who he is in the ring with, and no matter the size difference during the match, it's no different. Like, he's always one step ahead of his opponent, it seems. And during this match, a really neat shot, we saw Tony Nese sitting in the crowd. Nothing happens with him tonight. He's shown once or twice through the show. But he's hinted as this big free agent, I believe a top talent, and it would be an amazing pickup for AEW. I think they should absolutely get him. I'm assuming that with him showing up, pretty much he already has. If not, that was kind of him getting a lay of the land sort of thing before he signs. But either way, it's very cool to see. Back to the match now. Dustin and Bryan go back and forth, and Bryan eventually locks in the label lock, but Dustin fights out, and he gets a huge burst of energy, but Danielson cuts him down and stomps on him. He goes for the big knee, but Dustin does catch him, hits a pile driver, gets a near fall, but Bryan gets up and looks like he's going to hit the knee again this time, but he actually does a running guillotine, a flying guillotine, if you will, and that's it. Bryan Danielson defeats Dustin Rhodes to advance to round 2 of the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament, facing either Eddie Kingston or Lance Archer. That match is later tonight. For the Malteser scale, I gave this a 3.75 out of 5. It was a fantastic match, honestly. I mean, it's one of those ones that you don't think about wanting when you're, like, when you look at it, you're like, oh, Bryan Danielson versus Dustin Rhodes. Well, that'll be a decent match. And then you actually watch it and it's like, it's amazing. Like, they did awesome for building up this tournament, making it feel really special. I think that's awesome. We then get the Super Elite talking to Hangman Adam Page, and Kenny says that being champion with Adam was like Halloween every day. He tried to play cowboy when he was really a coward. Obviously referencing when he and Hangman were tag champions, which was, I believe they were one of the longest reigning champions at the time, since being passed by the Young Bucks, and will likely be passed by Lucha Brothers if they have a long reign as well. FTR talk about what they have been doing, and say that they stood on the sidelines as people pretended to be champions, and now they want the AEW World Tag Team Championships back. The Lucha Brothers say that if they want to play dirty, then revenge is coming. And FTR says that if a black eye is bad, wait until Full Gear. We then get Sting making his way to the ring to give an update on Darby Allin. Before Sting can even say anything, MJF makes his way out and says that Darby won't be coming back. Says that anyone who has been with Sting is always left alone when it counts. Darby is now just like Lex Luger in a wheelchair. And MJF gets laid out by Sting, and then the Pinnacle jumps Sting, and they lay him out, and MJF talks to Darby and says that if he comes back, this will be his future. MJF goes to leave and then turns around and lays out Sting with the beautiful diamond ring. Sorry, if you don't know, that's how they introduced that ring when he or when that ring tournament happened. I always make that joke. I apologize. We then get Britt Baker talking about her next challenger, and wouldn't you know, it's Ty Conti. I'm so excited. I'm very conflicted because being a wrestling fan, Britt Baker has not had that title long enough. But also being a huge fan of Ty Conti, I really want her to win. I'm so conflicted, and I'm so happy because I can't tell what's going to happen. Probably just my blinders as a fan, but it's fine. I am so excited for that match. Ty Conti is a fantastic athlete. We then get the TBS Women's Championship Tournament match, first match of the whole tournament. Penelope Ford versus Ruby Soho. This is the first match leading into the crowning of the first ever TBS champion. Soho wants gold as she had the AEW Women's World Championship stolen from her by Jamie Hayter and Rebel Not Reba. Penelope is at her usual antics, being cocky and taunting her opponent as she beats her down. And the bunny even makes her way down to help Ford, and Soho is taking a beating to start out and does slowly make a comeback, but whenever she shows life, Ford gets a big shot in. And then, eventually, the bunny slides in brass knuckles, and the ref stops Ford, and Ruby rolls up Ford in the confusion for the win. Ruby Soho defeats Penelope Ford to face Chris Statlander in round 2 of the TBS Championship Tournament. As you know, as I mentioned in the last episode, the top 4 contenders for the women's division are getting a bye in the round. That's Chris Statlander, Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose, and Thunder Rosa. I had to think about that for a moment. And for my Malteser scale for that match, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It was a solid match. I really did enjoy it. I couldn't think of really a better way of doing that because Penelope is, like, she's been doing that the way she has been. They've been doing that really well. And after the match, it looked like the Bunny and Ford were about to start beating down on Soho, but Red Velvet comes out to make the save. And then we get a cut. MJF talks about what he did to Darby quickly, and Wardlow asks why he was pushed into Sting last week. And MJF says that he didn't mean to do it, it was a fight or flight reflex. And he realizes that he asks a lot of Wardlow. So he's giving him an accountability, and it's Sean Spears. And then he quickly leaves. We then get a singles match, Bobby Fish versus Anthony Green. And Bobby Fish looks to make this quick, as he does so, quickly flying around the ring, hitting springboard dives and big kicks. And then basically, I call it when Bobby Fish gets tired, he delivers the last rites. Not necessarily tired, but tired of dealing with the person he's fighting. He delivers the last rites roundhouse for the win. Bobby Fish defeats Anthony Green. My Malteser scale, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It was a really quick match. I kind of prefer when matches are a bit longer. But it told some interesting story. Bobby Fish is obviously a high caliber competitor, and it's awesome to see him competing. After the match, though, Bobby Fish beats down Anthony Green, and we basically get a full heel turn. He's been kind of being the heel, but it's been he officially turned heel here. And wouldn't you know, CM Punk comes out to make the save, and it seems like we're going to be getting Bobby Fish versus CM Punk. Give me that any day of the week. We then get Lio Rush talking about his new teammate, Dante Martin. And Lio Rush says that Dante is one of the best in the world, and he can beat Matt Sydal, and that they have a chance to do so in a tag team match next week against the Sydal brothers. That'll be interesting for sure. Matt Sydal and Nick Sydal, I believe it is, versus Dante Martin and Lio Rush. That'll be very interesting. AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament match. We get Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston jumps Archer before the match even starts, and Archer quickly turns it around and uses a fan to beat on Kingston. And finally, the match does start, and Archer continues to beat down on Kingston, dumping him back outside and tossing him around. Archer's almost toying with Kingston at this point as he controls the pace of the match, and Archer sets up for a moonsault, but Eddie rolls out of the way, and Archer under-rotated and landed directly on the top of his head. Archer quickly rolled out of the ring and immediately was talking with the Doc Sampson. He rolled back in. I'm assuming the doctor kind of quickly gave him an evaluation, and then he rolled back in the ring where it was definitely apparent that an audible was called. Eddie rolled him up for the win. And while this may not have been the outcome the match was heading to, or this may have been the outcome the match was heading to, Eddie winning, it was definitely not how it was intended to happen. I hope Archer's okay and not in any permanent danger of career or anything. I hope he's fine. I've seen on his socials that he's doing okay and says he's going to live, but I do hope it's nothing serious and Lance Archer's going to return soon. We then get Eddie Kingston. So that was Eddie Kingston, obviously defeating Lance Archer to move on to round 2 of the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament. And he's going to be facing Bryan Danielson next week on Rampage. For my Malteser scale, I gave it a 3.25 out of 5. I enjoyed the match. The finish, obviously being abrupt, kind of sucked. But yeah, it's better to get the man checked out rather than worry about his the match quality. We then get the Men of the Year and Dan Lambert coming to the ring and talking about the Inner Circle. Paige says that they suck. Hager's undefeated in MMA, but Sky has beaten him twice here. Santana and Ortiz, they aren't that hard. And Jericho can do whatever he wants and says that says the only celebrity Jericho is going to be kissing on is Masvidal's knee, referencing to when he was hitting on Paige Van Sant. Sammy Guevara, comes out and tells Ethan to shut up. Sammy says that instead of bitching, he went out and won the TNT Championship, and turns to Lambert and says that, and asks what his terms are, and Lambert says that Sammy has the match, the 10-man tag, so long as he puts the title on the line next week against Ethan Page. If he loses, he has to leave the Inner Circle as well as he loses the title. And if he wins, he gets to pick the 3 members of American Top Team that the Inner Circle will beat. Sky says that how about they take this beating right now, and they come up the ramp to beat on Sammy, and the Inner Circle meets them there and beats them down. We get Jon Moxley talking about how he's supposed to be going to win the tournament, or talk about how he's supposed to be talking about winning the tournament. But he's not going to be doing that because he isn't interested in winning the tournament. He isn't interested in the title. He's only interested in returning to his daughter, and he's going to do whatever he can to make sure that that happens. He's sure he's going to win the tournament, but he doesn't care who he has to hurt to get there. The Dark Order gets some advice from Adam Page. Obviously, with next week being the Halloween special, he knows that the Elite has a match against the Dark Order and that they are definitely going to be wearing costumes, so the Dark Order should do so as well. But he also mentioned that he's sorry for getting upset with them for doing what they thought was right. So it seems like they're kind of burying the hatchet there. And then we get a quick match, Jungle Boy versus Brandon Cutler. Brandon Cutler puts up a good fight. He goes for a Panama Sunrise, but it doesn't work. And Cutler is laid out, and Jungle Boy locks in the snare trap, for the win. Jungle Boy defeats Brandon Cutler. I gave it a 2 out of 5. It was a very quick match, but it was very funny as well. After the match, Jungle Boy says He can go again and calls out any member of the Elite, and no one comes, so he puts the snare trap on Cutler again, and Cole comes out and says that why don't they fight now? Cole gets dropped off to the apron by Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy turns around into a super kick party from the Young Bucks. The super kick then beats on Jungle Boy up to the ramp, where they hit the BTE trigger, followed by the boom knee drop, and then they send Jungle Boy flying off of the stage through a bunch of tables. We then get a video package. Miro says that God's Forsaken Champion will once again become God's favorite champion. We then get a singles match, our main event, Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes 3. Malachi holds 2 wins over Cody and looks to make it 3 here. Cody seems to have been figured out by Malachi, but Cody's bound and bent to take down Black. This match has everything you would expect it to have. They start out fast and furious, both men trying to get the edge with kicks and big shots. But Cody has to dig deep, and if he's going to beat Black here. Black grabs a chair, and the Nightmare Factory comes out to stop that. Cody uses this distraction to lock in the figure 4, and Black fights out and starts to roll against Cody here as he grabs a table and sets it up outside. Cody uses this time to really recoup his health, and stops Black and hits the crossroads through the table, and at this point Black starts to bleed. Black gets up and puts Cody's head through the ring post. I say through the ring post because when Cody sits up, he is also bleeding. And then Arn is in the ring, and he is confronted by Andrade El Idolo on the ramp. And he has his assistant try to take out Arn, but it doesn't work. But Arn turns around and is hit with the Black Mist. And Cody uses the confusion to hit the crossroads for a near fall. But Black stands and hits the spinning heel kick. But Cody rolls out of the ring, comes back in after a bit of fighting on the outside. He hits the Cody Cutter, a crossroads, and a Tiger Driver 98 for the win. Cody Rhodes defeats Malachi Black. And for my Malteser scale, I gave it a 3.25 out of 5. My only reasoning for doing so is because I don't see the need for having to have Cody win here. We could have just had both of them move on and do something else. But we have this third match now, and Malachi has a loss on his record. Kind of sucks. It is what it is. I imagine we're going to be building towards some other match, maybe with these two, but I doubt it. I feel like this third match is kind of the end. Cody got his win back, and that's the end of it. I don't know. My overall for the show, though, is a 4 out of 5. One kind of iffy ending for me doesn't really ruin the show. It was still an awesome show. My match of the night is Danielson versus Dustin Rhodes. That was fantastic. And then my segment of the night is the Men of the Year and Inner Circle moment. That was really cool and sets up a really good match. And I hope that it's Jorge Masvidal, Junior Dos Santos, and I can never remember the other guy's name. But the big bearded one from the last few times. On them, I think it's going to be those 3 in that match. My performer of the night is Dustin Rhodes. He put on a hell of a performance as I mentioned, but he is just insane. But that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.